What do you mean?
Well, first off, this is giving them life at the end of the season and interest in the end of the season in a season where they weren't supposed to have interest. So that's like a green check mark to begin with anyway. But like Jimmy Haslam loves attention. He loves the idea that people talk about this team. Like he's giving them all that. Like this is gone. If you're Jimmy Haslam, I would have to imagine this has gone about as well as you could have possibly imagined.
With the whole 3 wins and everything?
Not that perspective. Obviously, he's mad about that. No, I mean the idea that you took a 5th-round quarterback and he's been able to keep people interested in the team this late in the season.
You know what I mean? Well, first off, stay right here, because what this jersey sale actually reveals about Shedeur Sanders is so much bigger than a number on a sales report. So, don't skip a single second of this video. And if this story touches your heart, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments. Where are you watching from? Let's begin. This wasn't just a jersey drop. This felt like a takeover. I'm serious. Think about what we just watched. 10 minutes. Not 10 hours. Not a full day. Not even a slow rollout across the weekend. 10 minutes. And everything was gone. Every size, every version, wiped out like it never even existed. That doesn't happen by accident. That doesn't happen because of a logo or a colorway. That happens when people are locked in, emotionally. And that's what makes this different. Because this wasn't the NFL pushing a superstar. This wasn't a first overall pick being shoved in front of us with commercials and endorsements and hype campaigns. No, this was the opposite. This was a player they questioned, a player they debated, a player they tried to figure out, analyze, criticize, and in some cases, straight up doubt. And what did the fans do? They ignored all of it. They didn't wait for analysts to tell them how to feel. They didn't wait for preseason stats. They didn't wait for a breakout game or a viral highlight. The moment that jersey dropped, they moved. Instantly, like they had already made up their minds a long time ago. And that's the part people are missing. This wasn't about buying merch. This was about sending a message. Because in today's NFL, attention is everything. It's currency. It's power. And for a rookie, especially one who didn't come in as the golden, untouchable #1 pick to command this level of attention overnight, that's not normal. That's not even rare. That's almost unheard of. You're talking about a player who hasn't taken a single regular season snap yet, and still managed to do something legends couldn't do at their peak. Let that sit for a second. Not Brady in a Super Bowl run. Not Mahomes at the height of a dynasty. Not even the biggest names we've ever seen. And somehow, this kid just flipped the entire script before the story even started. So now you have to ask yourself, what are we really looking at here? Because this feels bigger than football. It feels like the fans have already chosen their guy. It feels like the narrative has already shifted, whether the league is ready for it or not. And when that happens, when the people decide before the results even come, that's when things get dangerous. That's when pressure builds. That's when expectations explode. And maybe, just maybe, that's when stars are truly born. Because you can fake hype. The league does it all the time. You can manufacture buzz, push storylines, control narratives, but you cannot fake demand like this. You cannot fake millions of people showing up at the exact same moment, ready to invest, ready to believe, ready to ride with someone who hasn't even proven it yet at this level. That's not marketing. That's belief. And belief like that, it doesn't come easy. It doesn't come quick. It builds over time. Through moments, through pressure, through everything people watched before he ever got here. Which is why this moment feels so loud. Because it's not just about what happened in 10 minutes. It's about everything that led up to it. And if this is how it starts, imagine what happens when the games actually begin. Because I'll say it straight up, this wasn't hype. This was proof. This is where the story gets uncomfortable. Because none of this is supposed to be happening. We're talking about a 5th-round quarterback. A guy who, according to traditional NFL logic, should be fighting just to stay on the roster, let alone dominate headlines. That's the system. That's how it's always worked. First-round picks get the spotlight. Top 3 selections get the pressure, the cameras, the expectations. Everybody else, they wait, they develop, they earn it slowly. But what we're seeing right now completely flips that. Because somehow, some way, Shedeur Sanders has stepped into the league with the presence of a #1 overall pick, without actually being one. And that creates tension immediately. Look at the situation. The depth chart isn't cleared out for him. There's no guaranteed starting job waiting with his name on it. He's walking into a locker room where he still has to prove himself, still has to earn reps, still has to win over coaches who are trained to trust experience over hype. That's reality in the NFL. But then you look outside the building, and it's a completely different story. The fans? They've already made their decision. The attention? It's already there. The energy? It's already building. And that disconnect between what the league expects and what the people are showing, that's where things start to get really interesting. Because we've seen rookies come in with hype before. We've seen guys drafted high, pushed into the spotlight, expected to carry franchises from day one. And a lot of them, they struggle. Some disappear. Some never live up to the moment that was handed to them. But this feels different. Because Shedeur isn't being handed anything. He's taking it. He hasn't played yet. And he's already winning. And I know that sounds crazy, but think about what winning actually looks like at this stage. It's not touchdowns. It's not stats. It's control of the narrative. It's owning the conversation. It's making people care before you've even given them results. And right now, that's exactly what he's doing. Fans aren't just buying a jersey because it looks good. They're buying into something. They're choosing a side. They're saying, "This is our guy." Before the league could even decide what he is, the people already made their pick. That's powerful, because once that connection is built, once fans feel like they're part of your journey, it changes everything. It gives you margin. It gives you belief. It gives you a level of support that most players spend years trying to earn. And he got it, instantly. He hasn't played yet, and he's already winning. But here's where the pressure starts to creep in. Because now the expectations aren't normal anymore. Now it's not just about developing quietly or sitting behind a veteran. Now every snap, every throw, every decision is going to be watched, analyzed, and compared to the level of belief people have already placed in him. That's a different kind of spotlight. And the question is, can he match it? Because it's one thing to generate this kind of attention before you play. It's another thing entirely to live up to it once the games begin. So now we're looking at a situation that almost never happens. A player rewriting the narrative before the first chapter is even played out on the field. And that leaves us with one question that nobody can ignore. What happens when the performance finally catches up to the belief? This is the part nobody wants to admit, because it exposes everything. They tried to doubt him, not quietly either, not subtly. I'm talking about a full wave of skepticism that followed Shedeur Sanders from the end of his college career straight into draft night. You heard it everywhere. Analysts questioning his ceiling. Scouts whispering about concerns. Narratives forming around his personality, his spotlight, even his last name. And let's be real, a lot of it wasn't even about football. Because when a quarterback drops to the 5th round, the league wants you to believe there's a reason. They want you to trust the process, trust the evaluations, trust that all 32 teams saw something you didn't. But the fans, they weren't buying that. Because we all saw the tape. We all saw what he did under pressure, what he carried, what he represented, and yet somehow the story shifted. Suddenly it wasn't about performance anymore. It was about fit. It was about distractions. It was about everything except what actually happens between the lines. They said he wasn't ready. They said he wasn't worth it. They said he wasn't the guy. And you heard it over and over again until it almost started to sound normal. But here's the thing, when the narrative gets that loud, when the criticism starts stacking like that, it usually does one of two things. It either breaks a player, or it builds something bigger than the league expected. And with Shedeur, it built something. Because every time they questioned him, more people started paying attention. Every time they tried to lower expectations, more fans leaned in. Every doubt didn't push him away from the spotlight, it pulled him deeper into it. That's the part they didn't calculate. They thought the noise would slow him down. It didn't. It amplified him. And the fans saw it. That's what makes this whole moment so powerful. People weren't just watching, they were reading between the lines. They could feel when something didn't add up. They could see when the criticism felt forced, when the conversation stopped being about football and started becoming something else. And instead of backing off, they doubled down. They told you not to believe, but you did anyway. You stayed locked in. You followed the journey. You waited for the moment where belief could finally turn into something real. And then it happened. 10 minutes. That's all it took to flip the entire conversation. All the doubt, all the narratives, all the questions gone. Not because someone defended him on TV. Not because a team made a statement. Because the people made a statement. And in 10 minutes, he answered all of it. No press conference. No speech. No explanation needed. Just pure, undeniable demand. The kind you can't argue with. The kind you can't spin. The kind that forces everyone to stop and look again. Because now, the same people who questioned him have to explain something they didn't see coming. How does a fifth-round quarterback command first overall energy? How does a player surrounded by doubt generate this level of loyalty before playing a single snap? You can't explain that away. Because at the end of the day, this league runs on attention, on belief, on connection. And right now, whether people want to admit it or not, he has all three. So yeah, they tried to doubt him, but all they really did was make the moment bigger. Because you can't fake demand. And you definitely can't stop it. This is where the story changes. Because now, it's not just about proving people wrong anymore. Now it's about becoming something bigger. Because when you step back and really look at what's happening with Shedeur Sanders right now, it doesn't feel like a normal rookie storyline. It doesn't feel like a guy just trying to earn a starting job or fight his way up a depth chart. It feels like something is building around him. Something you can't measure with stats or combine numbers or scouting reports. It feels like a movement. And that's rare. Because most players, they earn love after they win. After the touchdowns, after the playoff runs, after they've already proven they belong. That's how it usually works. The league gives you respect after results. But this is the reverse. Most players earn love after success. He earned it before. And that changes everything. Because when fans believe in you before you've even had your moment, it creates a different kind of pressure, but also a different kind of power. It means people aren't just watching you, they're riding with you. They're invested in every step, every rep, every throw you make in practice. You can already feel it. The energy around him, it's different. Teammates notice it. Coaches feel it, whether they admit it or not. There's a presence there, the kind that makes people look twice. The kind that makes a locker room pay attention even when nothing official has happened yet. And we've seen this before. Think about guys like Jalen Hurts, not in terms of play style, but in terms of presence. The way a player can walk into a building and slowly, quietly shift the energy without saying much. Leadership doesn't always come from being named the starter. Sometimes it comes from belief, from confidence, from the way people respond to you before you've even taken control. And right now, Shedeur is sitting right in that space. He's not just a quarterback on a roster. He's becoming an identity. And for a franchise especially, one searching for stability, searching for direction that matters more than people realize. Because teams don't just need wins, they need something to believe in. They need a face, a presence, a reason for fans to stay locked in even when things aren't perfect. And right now, he's giving them that. Before the first snap, before the first drive, before the first big moment even happens. Which makes what's coming next even more interesting. Because all of this, the attention, the belief, the momentum, it's all building towards something, toward that first start, that first time he steps onto the field with everything watching, that first moment where it's no longer about projection or potential, it's about execution, that first clutch drive, that first real test. And when that moment comes, it's not just going to feel like another rookie debut, it's going to feel like something bigger. Because the foundation is already there, the belief is already locked in, the story is already moving, whether the league is ready for it or not. And if he meets that moment, even just once, even just enough to show a glimpse of what people already believe he is, then this whole thing, it won't slow down, it won't settle, it won't fade. This is the kind of story that doesn't fade, it explodes. This might sound crazy, but I don't think we're watching a moment. I think we're watching the beginning of something. Because when you connect everything, the attention, the belief, the way the fans showed up before a single snap, it stops feeling like a hot streak or a viral moment. It starts to feel like momentum, the kind that builds and doesn't slow down. And that's where it gets real. Because right now, all of this is happening before the football even starts, before the stats, before the wins, before the real pressure hits. And if this is the starting point, then what happens when the results actually show up? Think about it. When he wins his first game, not just plays well, but wins. When he walks off that field with the crowd behind him and the cameras locked in that moment, is going to hit different. When he leads his first comeback, when everything is on the line, fourth quarter, pressure everywhere, and he delivers, that's when belief turns into something louder, something undeniable. And when he steps into that spotlight for real, not as a storyline, but as the guy, that's when the entire league has to adjust. Because right now, you can still question it. You can still say, let's wait and see. You can still doubt. You can still hold back. But once those moments start happening, that window closes fast, and you can already see where this is going. Stadiums packed, not just because of the team, but because people want to see him. Jerseys everywhere, not sitting on shelves, not waiting to be bought, already worn, already part of the culture. The same media that questioned him, forced to pivot, forced to acknowledge what they tried to downplay. Because success at that level doesn't stay quiet. It takes over. And the craziest part? This isn't even the peak. This is the beginning. That's what people don't fully understand yet. They're still treating this like a moment, like something that might fade, like something that needs to be proven before it can be believed. But the belief is already there. That's the difference. And when belief comes first, results usually follow. Not always, but when it's real, when it's this strong, this unified, this immediate, it usually means something bigger is coming. So yeah, maybe we're early. Maybe we're ahead of the curve. But that's exactly what makes it special. Because years from now, people are going to look back at moments like this and say, that's when it started. That's when the shift happened. That's when people should have known. Because this kind of rise doesn't come out of nowhere. It builds. It grows. And once it reaches this level, it doesn't stop. This isn't luck. This isn't hype. This is inevitable. And whether the league is ready for it or not, it doesn't matter anymore. Because the league doesn't decide this. The fans do. And the fans? They've already decided.